welcome back to this episode 3 of the Fire and Ice podcast. Today we are joined by Matthew Partridge. Hello, how are you?
Evening, all good, thank you. Enjoying the weather, buzzing for the draft next week.
Yep.
Got kind of old Mount Cider there as well, getting nice and relaxed, ready into it.
Just chilling, getting prepared. Half day tomorrow. Life is good.
Nice. We're also joined by co-host and co-commissioner Chris Adamson. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. Very well indeed. Excited for this one. A bit more alert today than I was in the last one again. So let's get this going. Exciting proposition for everyone. This is.
Yeah. So today, what we thought we'd do is a mock draft. So the three of us have picked positions. They're not our actual positions on the draft that we've got. We thought that would be maybe giving a bit too much away of what we want. So we've got a mock draft here just on our phones next to us on the Sleeper app, and we're going to do, I don't know, how many rounds should we do? Just see how it goes and see what happens? Yeah. So we're going to go through the rounds. We're going to sort of give our thoughts, why we like players, why we don't like players, maybe selections, that sort of stuff, strategies, who knows, we'll do that, we'll see what happens, maybe a bit of banter, a bit of chat, and we'll kick off.
No banter.
Alright. So just to set the scene, we're on the Sleeper app, we're on the mock draft. If you haven't used the Sleeper app, it's great. We were just talking about it just before we came on here, how good it is. So get going those mock drafts before next week. Chris is selected second slot. We've got Matt in 4th, and I'm all the way down in 10. So that just sets the scene there for you. I'm going to start the mock draft now. We'll try and give you updates of who the computer is basically picking in between, and then we'll go. Right, let's start.
Should have tried to. You should be sharing your screen. Really, that would have been
I'm no good at this. Maybe later.
That would have been a better way to do it. So first off has gone Patrick Mahomes, no surprise there. Team 1, probably the same pick that I'd imagine Keith's going to take. In pick 2, it's a no-brainer for me. There's no other option available. I am going Mr. Allen. Jefferson comes off the board in 3rd pick, and then we have Matthew up next.
So, a couple of options for me. So either QB first, being the QB heavy league that we're in, or the lovely little Jamar Chase. I think I've got to go with my boy from last year, Jalen Hurts. He was a steal last year. He's picked number 4.
What I like about Jalen Hurts, to kind of jump in, is his age. Young QB. If you look at the other kind of ones that we're saying he's on the precipice of, your Mahomes, your Allens, your Burrows, they're all like the 27, 28 sort of age, aren't they? Whereas Hurts is what, 24?
I don't think
24.
Burrow's that old. I want to say
Burrow is, mate.
Oh, he is 26. Yeah. Apologies.
Yeah. Be interesting to see what the backfield's like in the Eagles this year.
But I just think longevity-wise, he's just got that big contract as well. Like, he's around as long as he doesn't get injured.
Yeah, he had a good year. He had a good year. Yes, he's obviously got to do it again this year. But I don't think there's any concerns about that. I'm not taking any Eagles. If you see me taking Eagles on draft night, hit me or something, because I'm not doing it.
Done.
Team 5
done.
took Lamar Jackson. Team 6, Joe Burrow. Team 7 was Justin Herbert, so a lot of QBs going. Team 8, Jamar Chase, so he's gone quite late there. And Team 9's gone Justin Fields, so another QB. I really want to go QB, but in 10, is it difficult? Nah, it's not difficult for me.
No, it's obvious, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I have to take Trevor Lawrence. So I like the QB play. In 10, potentially you could go QB wide receiver, but I think it's definitely QB, and it's got to be Trevor Lawrence for me. Good season last year. Obviously got Calvin Ridley at Jacksonville. Hopefully he'll build on what he did last year.
So then coming around the corner, Team 11 took Jonathan Taylor. First RB off the board. Team 12 took Breece Hall, and then back-to-back they went double running back with Bijan. Love that pick. Team 11 picked up the overall kind of main receiver in Dallas, who I actually think is definitely the inner tier in himself. If you've got Chase and Jefferson in that top tier, I think you've got Chase, you've got then CD, and then the rest of them below. I think he's somewhere in between the rest of them. So I like that going in the third play. And then you're back on the clock with Pertry.
Yeah, so here I like the QB. So if I don't go QB here, I'm basically, what am I looking at? We're on a 3-round reversal, aren't we? So potentially I could probably get like a Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Tua. Or I could go now with a younger guy like Richardson, who I really like. Or I could take a wide receiver. I would usually go QB, so I'm going to stick with that. And out of the QBs available, so we've got Richardson, obviously really run heavy, so should be good in a fantasy perspective. Watson, I do like Watson, to be fair. He was really good at the Texans, came back last year, was alright at the end of the year. Could build on that. Obviously Cleveland don't have many weapons though, which is a bit of a worry. Bryce Young, he's too small. He's too small, isn't he? He's tiny. He's not just his size as well, his physicality. There's some pictures that are coming out. He looks tiny. He looks absolutely.
It's not like he had to do it at college and throw over his massive lineman at all, was it?
He's going to get battered. It's another level for me.
You're
I
lost.
Can't take him.
You're
I would take
absolutely
CJ Stroud
lost.
if I over Bryce Young. I'd take CJ Stroud easily. But I'm going to do the QB play, and I'm going to take Anthony Richardson.
So then, Team 9 comes in with Christian McCaffrey. Too early that for me. AJ Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Kenneth Walker, and then back on the clock is Matthew.
Lovely. So again, thinking purely QB for the first couple of rounds. Watson's there, Bryce Young's there. To me, it's a toss-up between getting those elite level QBs, especially coming back round, knowing that it jumps right to the end for the start of the third round. Are those guys like Tua, Prescott, are they going to come back round? Are they going to fall to me? Don't know, but I can't look past who I think is going to be a boss. And Garrett Wilson, I think Rodgers is going to find him. I think he's going to have a great season. Second year, I think he's going to eat it up. So he's my pick. Eat it up.
So Matt goes receiver, obviously with Garrett Wilson down at the Jets. Deshaun Watson goes next to Team 3, and then I'm up with my second pick. For me, it's an absolute no-brainer. I am the opposite to Mark with this. Couldn't disagree more. I think he is the second coming of QBs, and way ahead of CJ Stroud, way ahead of the rest of them from a real-life perspective. And I think he's just going to get it done. So I go quite easily and happily here, straight in with Young.
He's just got no one to throw to, though, has he? His wide receivers are terrible, but anyway. So Team 12 on the third round reversal, as we've changed it to now. It's gone back, so it's reversed on the third round. It's taken CJ Stroud.
Don't forget that Team 1's taken Tyreek Hill.
Oh yes, sorry, I did miss that. Tyreek Hill was gone at 1, and then CJ Stroud and Travis Kelce. So currently my team have got Trevor Lawrence and Anthony Richardson, so I'm pretty set at QB. I'm happy here to either go running back or wide receiver. Looking down, I like Gibbs is there. Obviously a young prospect at Detroit, quite run heavy. Who else have we got there that we can sort of look at? T. Higgins, Smith and Jigba, Olave if you like him at that spot. I would probably be looking at those sort of people. For me, the running backs, they don't get much depth at Dynasty. There's quite a lot of old running backs. Looking at Eckler, Etienne's obviously quite young, but there's a lot of old running backs in there. So I'm going to take a gamble on Gibbs from Detroit and hope he does it there. So I'm going to draft Gibbs.
That's around his spot though, isn't it? You know, I think within Gibbs is going within what 6 of that pick. No matter what, he's going somewhere in that range. Definitely.
It's an interesting pick though, because the way they've been talking is you look at Montgomery, who's not going to be going for ages, 12th, 13th round. He could have a similar role as Jamal Williams last year. That's what they're talking about, which would be Gibbs could be DeAndre Swift. So
he could. He's going to play. They say he's going to play a lot in the slot, don't they? It's like almost like a receiver. For me, it's the longevity of it. You know, you get an RB who could be a cornerstone RB for you for the next 5 years. You know, I like the Jamar Gibbs pick. I think the drop off for the top RBs from this current year's draft is huge as well. I think you've kind of got 3 or 4. Well, I think you've got one very top tier guy, then you've got 3 or 4 very good guys, and the rest of them drop off massively.
Yeah.
So we've had Kyler Murray, Prescott, Barkley, T. Higgins, and Eckler all picked up, and I am now on the clock. So I've got Hurts, I've got Garrett Wilson. Really happy with those 2 guys. For me, I was looking to add another QB. Tua's up there, but for me, I can't trust him. I can't trust he ain't gonna get a concussion again. I think I'm the same as you. I hate players that have had injuries. I can't take the gamble on him. Running back, ETN, Jacobs, Harris, Chubb. There's plenty of depth still in that. I got a feeling one of those is gonna come back round. So I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna go for who I think is still gonna probably get the most points, even if it's only for this year, and that's gonna be Cooper Kupp.
That's an interesting one.
Spectrum pick.
So that team there, you're already starting to set up. Is yours? You must be surely starting to think, I'm in for year 1. I know you've got a lot of upside with Garrett Wilson. I know you've got a lot of upside with Jalen Hurts. But you throw Cooper Kupp in there, and you're thinking Garrett Wilson could arguably potentially be one of the top. If he's not in the top 7 receivers this year, you might be disappointed. I think.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp, you'd expect the same. Jalen Hurts could be easily with the top QB in the league. So,
but I think it's that toss up, isn't it? Who do you go for? Do you go for an Olave, who's got a bit more upside, but do you go for Cooper Kupp, who could be wide receiver 1 on the season? And
easily, yeah.
Quite easily. He was on course last year as well.
Yeah, you know what it's like in a PPR league, because he gets the ball 15 times a game, doesn't he? So he's just getting so many points.
Is Kupp going to be even more prolific as well, because that defense in the Rams has been absolutely smashed, so they're going to be throwing the ball all over the place to try and catch up, you'd imagine, a lot of the times. Is he going to get even more receptions?
Yeah.
When our boy Stetson Bennett comes in, we'll be throwing it to him all the time.
Come on, Stetson.
Yeah.
He's coming to a dirty bird, I'll tell you that for damn sure. Stefan Diggs goes team 3, and then the dirty bird is back on the clock. And I mean, I took this guy in another dynasty league that I'm in. The reason I asked Matt that question is I waver in the opposite side of things. I'm more interested in kind of year 2, year 3, year 4, almost kind of not being too fussed on year 1. And I'm going Jackson Smith and Jigba, taking him away from the Seattle fan. And I don't rate most of the receivers in this draft class, but I think this guy could have something special. I read a thing not long ago where all the receivers in his college years have all come out. Have kind of come out like Olave came out and said that he's the best receiver out of the lot of them. I'm pretty sure, or it might be Wilson. It might be Wilson who said actually. They said
Wilson
that Smith and Jigba was the best of the lot
at college. Yeah, and I think it was the coach maybe said that he was the best out of them 3.
Yeah,
you see what Wilson and Olave have done. So if he can do better than that, he should be that Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, really, shouldn't he, in a few years?
Now you're a bit concerned. Go on, Matt. Sorry.
That's right. It just depends how we play and what happens, and obviously we'll get onto it probably with the running back situation and what looks does he actually get? I think he'll get plenty, but he's not going to take many away from DK, I don't think. And you always got that deep threat with Tyler Lockett.
Definitely, and I think that's why for me I've kind of.
He's going to play in the slot, DK on the wide, and then Lockett long.
I think Matt's just referring to just physically getting the receptions, though. I think, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It depends who they're going to dump off to. If you read and you hear what they said, they're possibly going to dump off to the running back quite a bit. So yeah, it's a bit of a stacked offense this year.
And do you trust Geno Smith? You know, I'm
always
not,
trust. Always trust
I
him.
am not a Geno Smith truther. I don't believe that hype at all. But I think the talent's definitely there. And as I say, I'm really interested in that kind of year two development. Mark Andrews, I think that's the first tight end off the board. No, sorry, Travis Kelce went second tight end off the board. Mark Andrews. Olave's then gone for Team 1. Team 1 stacking up quite nice. Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Mark Andrews and Chris Olave. I'm back on the clock at the 4th turn. So far I've got Josh Allen, Bryce Young, Jackson Smith and Jigba. So this kind of comes to where my first heart over head question comes in. The reason why I am very much the fire part of this podcast and Mark is the ice is I often go with my heart over anything else. And as much as I don't think this is the correct play at this position, I wouldn't advise the person in second doing this pick, but hey, the person in first might do it because Keith knows he won't come back round to him if he doesn't take him here, is Kyle Pitts. So I'm going to be taking Kyle Pitts at tight end. I think there's extra collateral on the line when you've got 3 Falcons fans in the draft. Now, yeah, okay, it's dynasty and we're all on a plan for the future, blah, blah. And Kyle Pitts could be that guy. He's supposed to be a unicorn tight end. We'll see if that's the case because we just run the ball all over the place. Probably doesn't want to get a move to another team. But if you've got 3 Falcons fans and 3 top Falcons talent in Pitts, Bijan and Drake London, we're all going to want to have one of them and someone's going to have to reach for him. So I think that's why I'd go for that pick with Kyle Pitts. Phenomenal tight end for Dynasty. I would still argue the top tight end from a Dynasty perspective. Obviously Kelsey and Andrews are better currently. Hawkinson probably better currently. But for longevity, Kyle Pitts has to be the guy. So that's why I've taken Kyle Pitts in the 4th round.
Did you hear the stat that came out about Mariota and Pitts from last year? And it was the uncatchable balls that he was throwing. It was a phenomenal number, and he literally had no chance on about 95% of all. And I think he dropped one.
Mariota was horrendous. He was horrendous. I was on record screaming about getting Ridder in. I know Keith is not a Ridder fan. I'm a bit of a believer. I've been on the Cincinnati Bearcats forums, and I've been reading up about because I didn't watch any of his play when he was at college, I have to admit, and they all believe in him. They're not Falcons fans, they obviously they still believe in it. They say that he's got the metal for it. I don't think he has to do much in that Falcons offense, to be fair. I think when you've got a guy like Bijan coming in, you've got a weapon like Kyle Pitts, you've got a line which they've got, and you've got Drake London, who was number 8 drafted receiver, big-bodied receiver too. He doesn't have to do much. He can get the ball to them. He won't be special, but when you've got those big bodies out there, it's easier to throw to. So, I like Kyle Pitts long term. I really do.
I saw a picture recently of Ridder actually, and he's stacked up. I don't know if you've seen this,
put on some weight.
He's got muscle now. I think he's been in the weight room on the off season, and he has beefed up a little bit. So
he's also come out and said that he feels much like mentally in a better place. So last year he said that he's come out and said that he kind of felt a bit like deer in the headlights. Whereas now he feels like he's in the right place for it. Now it could all just be chat, but that's the reason we like the off season, isn't it? Team 3's taken Travis Etienne, so off he goes. Great running back, but we'll see how he develops with the previous injuries and everything else going on in Jacksonville, and also fuck Jacksonville. And then Matthew Partridge on the clock.
So I'm not looking any further than at the moment running backs. Adding to the core I've got at the moment, toss up really between Jacobs and Najee. I think Najee's going to come back this year. I think he was injured. I think he struggled a bit. I think the Steelers are going to be a bit of a. I think they're going to have a decent season. I think they're writing about them at the moment. They are pushing for him. I actually really fancy Kenny Pickett as a QB for the long term, whether he comes back round or not. But a sort of toss up between Harris and Jacobs, but I think I'm going to take Jacobs just based on last season. There's nothing really going on down at the Raiders. I think he's going to have a stellar season yards wise. So Josh Jacobs for me.
Nice. So to confirm kind of Matt's team, he's got Jalen Hurts, Garrett Wilson, Cooper Kupp and Josh Jacobs. Team 5 takes Tua. Team 6 takes DK. Then goes Devontae, Ramondre Stevenson and Devonta Smith. And that puts Mark on the clock. Currently with Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson and Jamar Gibbs.
That's good. I was looking at Stevenson, so I'm glad he's been taken because I didn't really want to go running back there. I want to take a wide receiver here. Just looking down the list, I haven't really looked at them yet. So we've got Drake London at ADP at the top, Quinton Johnson, Jordan Addison. I do like Addison, to be fair. In the running
Took him in your other league?
I did, yeah. I do like Addison with that Jefferson sort of partnership. I quite like. We've got Harris, Chubb, and is that Javonte Williams in the running department? Actually, I'm going to switch chat. I'm going to go for a running back here because I think the wide receivers are a lot deeper. And being at this 10 slot, I think a couple of them are going to come back that I don't mind. Zay Flowers, Watson. Yeah, there's quite a few of them in there. So I'm gonna piggyback off what Matt said with Najee Harris. It was a bit of an off season last year, but the year before he was really good. He had a few bright sparks with games. I think you had him, Chris, didn't you, in your team? And he had a few good games at the end of the season. Pittsburgh should be better this year. He's still young. He gets the ball a lot. RB2 is Jalen Warren. So I'm going to take Najee Harris here and go running back. I wouldn't usually do this, but you got to look to see who's there.
Under pressure.
Lines improved. Darnell Washington's in there as an extra extra blocker slash.
Definitely
going to be the best tight end in the league.
So Team 11 took Jordan Addison. Obviously, I was looking at T.J. Hawkinson goes for Team 12. Team 12 takes another running back. So they've got 3 running backs somewhere. Tony Pollard, and then Drake London goes to Team 11. So that's quite good for me because there's still a few wide receivers in there that I like. Is it Quinton Johnson, Christian Watson? I can't go Debo, he's too old. Or Zay Flowers. So one of those young guys. Who do I like more? I'm not fussed between any of them really. I guess with Watson you've got that worry with Jordan Love there, but he looked really good last year. Zay Flowers I do like, but he's quite small as well, and obviously Lamar runs a lot. They don't really throw the balls. You've got Andrews who gets the ball quite a lot. Chargers throw the ball a lot. Keenan Allen's getting on now. He's probably going to go next year. He could be turned into sort of wide receiver 1 next year, so I'm going to take Johnson. I like the Chargers offense. I like Justin Herbert, and they throw the ball quite a bit.
Johnson's got to be he's got to be the player that's got currently the lowest ceiling for this year, I would argue, of these kind of those top 3-4 receivers, but potentially the highest ceiling of the lot of them potentially. If you lose Keenan Allen and he's got Herbert throwing to him, that could be pretty decent, couldn't it?
Yeah. I think he'll be wide receiver 1 starting next season, no doubt about it. For me, Mike Williams never really done enough to warrant it. I think he'll bypass him. But Keenan Allen, I think, will still have a good season this year.
Oh yeah,
this year, definitely this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Quinton's that play for next year. He's the play for next year, I think. Javonte goes next, followed by Zay Flowers, who Mark was tossing up with. Nick Chubb comes in. Debo, and there goes Christian Watson. So Matt's back on the clock in the 5th round.
So we got some interesting picks. QBs for me, it's picky still there. Hopefully he might come back round. Running back, Swift, Henry, Pierce, Mixon, Dobbins I like. Wide receiver, there's a few out there. Pittman, DJ Moore, Judy, Pickens, Godwin. There's not a lot I like, but just looking at the team and how it's sort of set up for this year, I'm going to gamble all in and go for Mr. Henry. Win in year 1.
I like it. I think this is, we discussed it just off air before we came onto the pod of being in draft, middle of the draft. How is yours team starting to come together? What are the other teams around you starting to come together? At some point, you have to pivot and you have to decide on kind of what you're going for. And I like that play. You've decided straight up now, I'm committing to it. This is what I'm going for year 1. And we all know by looking at that team in the 5th round that we have an idea of what sort of players you're going to be taking. But you could be onto a winner straight up.
It looks solid, doesn't it? It looks very solid.
It does. So yeah, Matt's team: Jalen Hurts, Garrett Wilson, Cooper Kupp, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry.
That's good. That would
There's
work.
bragging rights there, isn't there? There's early bragging rights. Then the best running back in the league gets taken next in DeAndre Swift. And I'm up on the clock. I'm glad Swift went because that would have been uncomfortable for me. That would have been really uncomfortable.
Sometimes you are glad that somebody takes him, aren't you? You're like, oh God, I haven't got to
All the
take
time.
him. Thank God.
It kind of makes decisions for you, I find. Like, especially if you've got like 2 or 3 players that you like. And it's like, oh yeah, okay, that's done it for me. So yeah, to confirm my team again, I've got Josh Allen, Bryce Young, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Carl Pitts. Still no running back. And if I'm looking down at the running backs in this range, Pierce, Mixon, J.K. Dobbins, Cook, Zach Charbonnet, who I do love. But obviously I've already got Jackson Smith and Jigba, so that's not really ideal. And then you're in the drop-off. So I'm actually going the opposite again, shock horror. I'm not going running back again, same as I didn't in my other league. And I'm probably going to stick with receiver. So if I'm looking down in this range from ADP standpoint, I've got Pittman, Williams, who, as we knew last year, I love, but he is under suspension for 6 games.
6, yeah.
6 games. That's you're basically guaranteeing for year 2 there, taking that at this stage, aren't you? DJ Moore, Jerry Jeudy, Pickens, Godwin, Burks, McLaurin, Ayuk, and Ridley are kind of all within this ADP range. I agree with the bandwagon that the 2 lads have said so far. I think Steelers are going to be better. I think Pickens is much better than Deontay Johnson. And I think Pickens is the guy. So I'm taking Pickens here. Jerry Jeudy gets taken in Team 1, followed by Michael Pittman. So the Team 1 has gone 4 receivers. No running backs in that team. They're taking the receivers. That puts me black on the clock. And again, obviously no change in the running backs here. But now that the kind of more receivers have gone, and I'm looking at that receiver room, there's nobody apart from probably Burks, who I do love for a breakout year. Slightly worried about who's going to come back to me at running back. But I would probably still be having my eyes on someone like White from Tampa Bay. Akers for Rams, so I'm not too worried about that. Or my other option is, it is a Superflex league. I do think you need more QBs in your league, and they obviously hold a lot of value, so I could be looking at Trey Lance here. Currently recommended ADP is 59.9. I'm in at 6.2, so picking in a good place in terms of ADP. Questions. I'm going to go with Treylon Burks, because I don't have that. I love him too much. Sorry.
What is the
good pick.
Trey
I like
Lance
Burks
situation at the moment?
They've come out and said that they've got 3. What's the word they used? They've basically got 3 franchise QBs. I can't think of the word they used, but they've got 3 franchise QBs there. They believe it's all smoke and mirrors, and I'm a big believer that Trey Lance is going to be the starting QB. I just don't see how you spend that much money to move up to take him, and then he's not your starting QB, or try and get some value out of him. So I like him. I do like Trey Lance a lot. I've taken Trey Lance in my other league, but it's a gamble. It's a huge gamble, and you're kind of hoping that either he is the definitive starter or he gets traded away, where they try and recoup some form of value out of him. You want the other team to put the value into him so that they're committed to him, and then you've got a starter in him there. But it is a gamble. I don't think Purdy's the guy for now. Like, he showed it well, but he's Mr. fucking last place wanker.
The thing is, though, it's the season where everything is going off rumours, and I heard things that they reckon Purdy's the guy. But again, depends what you listen to. Depends what they say. No idea at all. I would just stay way away from Lance or Purdy. You got no idea. But maybe just pick up Darnold in the 23rd round. He might.
So what? Here's a question for you then. At what point would he become interesting to you? Because obviously a lot of this is all upside, hopes, right? So if we have the crystal ball and we find out, we can look into the future and we see that Trey Lance from week 2 is a starter in San Francisco. He's balling out with some of the best weapons in the league, with one of the best lines around as well. if you could guarantee that upside, at what point in the draft now would you take that gamble?
I think again, it all depends on where you sit with what you've picked previously. If I look at my team and go, there's a few more QBs out there that I think would do a job.
You can't
Would I
take the
pick him
risk.
in? Would I pick him in the 6th round? Possibly, because you look at that and go, it's a gamble, but yeah, if it pays off, it's all right. There's a few other players I like out there, but yeah, I'm sure somebody will take him 6th, 7th round easily, just as a gamble. I'd be amazed if he drops lower than that, even with all the uncertainty around him. There's just some players in there that you know are going to go.
What about you, Mark?
I think if you're saying he's a guaranteed starter, he has all those weapons around him, I think he's late first, early second. I mean, he fits in that slot of Bryce Young, Richardson, Deshaun Watson for me. If you can
Justin
guarantee
Fields.
that.
Last year's draft, we had Justin Fields and Trey Lance both in the same 1-2, didn't we?
I liked
in the
him
order of
last year. I
things.
thought he was going to use his legs. I thought he was going to be better. I obviously got injured really early, which is a bit of a shame. Yeah, if you could guarantee it, he's up there, but it's just that no idea.
That's what makes them slide, isn't it? But I think that's an interesting point Matt raises. Of it depends, what your bill's looking like. My team, you could see me that I've built here so far. You could see me kind of taking the gamble because it's kind of gearing up already for a year 2 push and on. Matt's team, definitely not the case. He wants to win now, so he doesn't want to take a gamble on someone like that when he could pick up an Aaron Rodgers in the 14th round or something like that.
Yeah, real interesting, and I think there's going to be a lot of conundrums going on through everyone's head all through the draft, and that's what's really good about Dynasty, isn't it? You got to be thinking about everything all the time.
Yeah. So Matt's back on the clock. He's taken his 6th pick. He's got 2 receivers, 2 running backs, 1 QB. Where are you looking?
I'm going to make it nice and symmetrical, and get myself my second QB. Lance is still there at the top. Daniel Jones is there. Cousins, Will Levis. But I'm going to go and pick my guy that I spoke about a minute ago, Mr. Pickett, because I think he's going to have a good season. Bit of a gamble, but I think there's enough there to warrant the pick.
So who've we had?
Just trying to look up.
Team 5.
24 years old as well, Pickett.
Team 5's got Pierce. It's Damian Pierce. 6, Daniel Jones. 7, Kirk Cousins. 8's gone with Joe Mixon. Obviously, got a bit of controversy around him as well. It's a bit of a gamble there. And then Jameson Williams has gone. So that sort of 6th round seems to be that sort of let's take a gamble on a Trey Lance, Jameson Williams, Joe Mixon type. From what we're looking at the mock anyway. So yeah, round 6, I've got Trevor Lawrence, Richardson as my QBs, Jamar Gibbs and Harris as my running backs, and Quinton Johnson currently as my wide receiver. So I'll be looking at a wide receiver, and it's probably a good little slot here, I think, to look at wide receiver. ADP we got DJ Moore, but I really hate DJ Moore, even though he's moved to the Bears and he's with Fields now. He's got better QB obviously, but he stung me a few years ago.
It's an awful place for him. I think that's the worst place he could have gone.
I don't like him. He stung me a few years ago on fantasy, and you get those players, they sting you and you just never go back to you. Then we got Chris Godwin, next Terry McLaurin, Ayuk, Ridley, Brown, Hopkins. A lot of similar players in there, to be honest. I do like Dotson, who's down there, but that's a little bit of a reach at that spot for me. Just having a quick look at the tight ends. Goddard, no thank you. So I'm going to take a wide receiver. I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin. I do like Terry McLaurin. Trey Lance has gone.
Scary Terry McLaurin.
Team 11 has taken Trey Lance. They've taken a gamble. DJ Moore has gone to Team 12. Again, we think that's a bit of a gamble. J.K. Dobbins for me is a bit of a gamble, but I know you love him, don't you, Chris?
I do love him, and I think that's value there at the 7.1 for Dobbins. I think that's value.
Then Chris Godwin. So it's the same sort of players you're seeing in the 6th and 7th rounders, sort of older vet type guys and a few gambles. Coming back around now, so I've got my 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and my 2 QBs, so I'm pretty happy with that. I could go tight end, and if I did like the Eagles, I probably would go Dallas Goedert because I think he's great. But I'm not taking an Eagles. The other
That's
tight
the
end
player that I was expecting you to when we're in the pub and we've had a couple of jars down. I can see that being the player that goes, and then there's
I'll
going.
take him and trade him away straight away.
We still get to wallop you though.
I'll trade that pick. If someone wants Dallas Goddard, I'd be like, someone give me an offer right now. If you want Dallas Goddard, you can have him. He's right there at the top. The next tight end is Dalton Kincaid, who I really love actually at Buffalo. But I think the tight end group here is deep. There's loads of people down there, so I'm not gonna jump at him. Who have we got running back? We've got Dalvin Cook and that Charbonnet for Seahawks, who I do like. Rashad White. I'm going to take Charbonnet actually. Obviously, he's got Kenneth Walker there, who's an absolute stud. I loved him last year, but Charbonnet is really good with his hands, and I think he could be the dump-off guy. I don't know what you think about that, Matt. You're obviously probably a bit closer to the Seahawks.
Yeah, I was actually watching a video, some analysis about, because I think this is probably the biggest conundrum for everybody in fantasy, is you've got a guy picked up by Seahawks who probably don't need him.
In the second round as well.
He is good. I've watched some tape of him. He is good. Walker had an iffy season with catching the ball. He obviously was a bit of a stud, but if you look at the pure stats, they should work together. Walker was the kind of guy, the big breakout plays, more than the just keep carrying the ball and getting over the line. So I think Walker will get your touchdowns. I think he'll get your big plays, but Charbonnet will get those dump off in the passing game. So yeah, I mean, as a Seahawks fan, I'm buzzing for this season.
Is it from a fantasy perspective though? Is this an AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones situation where you've got RB1, RBA, RBB?
I think there's a couple of situations around the league that are similar-ish. You just don't know what's going to happen, do you? I talked about Montgomery earlier. Right, we all think Gibbs is going to get all the plays. We thought that was Swift last year, and it all flipped on its head, and Jamal Williams took everything. So, yeah, be interesting.
Doesn't know what he's got in front of him. Absolutely fucked that one, Dan Campbell did. He's contacted.
Great coach.
Dallas Goddard goes next, followed by Pat Firemouth, Calvin Ridley, Rashad White, Dalton Kincaid goes. He is a great prospect, but Titans out of college don't often perform very well. And then Matt's back on the clock.
I do really like Kincaid, to be fair. Like you say, it's more of a year two kind of prospect. Depends what they use. They're talking very much about using him in the slot, a bit more of a wide receiver, but take what you want out of what people say this time of the year. You watch the tape, he is going to be a good prospect, but yeah, you just, like I say, I think it's any rookie tight end. I don't think any of them have ever done anything decent.
No.
So yeah, stay away if you want. Yeah, just looking,
stay away because Matt wants him.
Stay away. I'll take him in the 7th round. So just looking down, QBs. Will Levis is sat at the top. There's a few of the vets there, Gino and Russ, Mr. Goff. Dalvin Cook, top running back. I'm staying well away from that situation. In mocks, I've seen Madison going down about the round 12, 13, and I think that's could be an absolute steal all the way down there, depending on what happens in that situation. There's a couple of other guys, Akers, Sanders, Jones, just sat where I am at the moment. Hopkins I like, but I don't know what the situation is going to do there for Arizona. Amari Cooper again could have a good season. Christian Kirk, there's a lot of choice. I think I'm going to go and pick Miles Sanders. I mean, I'm just going to take a bit of a punt on him. I think he had a good season and should be set up for him in Carolina to take the ball off the midget.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's easier, isn't he? He's in to complement the team you're already building. You know he's going to be in it from day one. So decent. Dalvin Cook goes next. That puts me on the clock. Still no running backs in my team. Looking at the running backs available, I'm not thrilled by anything. What else have I got available? But then I'm kind of reaching for other things. I do like Maya. Again, he's not going to necessarily be for this year, which is kind of what I'm playing for anyway. Was the tight end one, wasn't he, until for a long way out by a lot of people, but yeah, it's not a now play. I'm just scrolling down here. I think I've got to take an RB. I don't necessarily like anyone necessarily, but I think I've got to take one now because I've got to have my pick of who I like the most. I can never say his name, but I'm staying away from the Miami rookie. Not built for a running back for me. He is tiny. He's rapid, but he's tiny. I'm too scared of that. I'm going to go for a guy who I had last year. Absolutely love. And I think he's quality, and it's really filled me with confidence they've not brought in a vet so far. I think not having a vet come in, obviously that could change things when Zeke or Fournette goes in and fucks him right over. But I love Pacheco. So Pacheco is going to be coming to me in the 7th. And I'm glad I did, because then 2 RBs have then straight gone by Team 1. They've gone for that Devon, I can't say his surname. And then Kendra Miller goes. That puts me back on the clock. And that kind of makes this pick even easier. Yes, it does. There he is. So he's down in ADP 90.4. Again, I've only got one running back, but that doesn't worry me at this stage because nobody that I love around that range. I'm going Jahan Dotson. I think he could be about it. I really think he could be about it. And again, I'm not too concerned about this year. The team that I'm putting together now is kind of all about being those guys who are year 2 guys who are going to kind of hopefully have their breakouts. Then going into year 3, I could potentially be trading them off to people for a lot more than I've picked them up for, or really having a really solid foundation of receivers in what we believe is very much a receiving league now.
Yeah, I mentioned Dotson a few weeks ago, didn't I? As someone I really like as well. You can see McLaurin probably getting traded maybe at the end of this year and just moving Dotson into 1. I could definitely see that. I think he's great.
I guess the only
he's
worry
under
you
the
have
radar a little bit as well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I guess the only worry you have is the quarterback play.
Yeah.
That's is it Howell is now in at quarterback?
Somehow,
I think that's probably the only small bit of concern you have, but I'm willing to take that gamble in the 8th round. Jared Goff goes off for AP, and that puts Matt back on the clock.
Nice. So again, looking at those QBs still, I still think they're going to be invaluable. And if somebody decides to pick up 3, 4, 5 QBs for whatever reason, it could be in one of those strong positions. So
you're looking at Dan. Dan's going to do that.
I was going to say, comes to question.
He'll be picking up people we've never heard of. They're not even on the app anymore. So,
If he doesn't pick up
so obviously I like.
I'll be disappointed, I tell you.
Well, it's interesting, obviously, with the new rule change that the extra QB they can have. That's actually it could throw a bit of a spanner in the works for a few things if you're not looking that deep into the QBs that are around. So I got Russ, but I'm not going to pick him up because he's Judas. Gino is there. Cam Akers, Kamara, James Cook, Aaron Jones, Ayuk, Hollywood Brown. It's a bit of a toss up to me, really, who I go with, but I'm going to go and pick up Gino, so he's there. Or I can have my Seahawk.
You got to have him.
Yep, got to take him. Team 5, Brandon Ayuk, Marquise Brown goes to 6, Cooper goes to 7, Will Levis goes to Team 8. I think that was the second QB, wasn't it? Yep. And then Team 9 took a gamble on Josh Downs at the Colts. Who's that rookie there? I think he's been working out with Richardson, is what I've read.
But the thing is like that's pushing his ADP massively up. Whereas I was looking, I think Alex Pierce is nowhere. And alright, he had a little bit of a breakout. He had some good games last season, but he had a terrible quarterback. So can't read a lot into what you read in the reports.
Yeah, true. So for me, this is where you start going through the names, and I think it's just who you like and who you don't like, and a few of them are a bit of gambles really for me. So I've got my team set up really. I haven't got a tight end at the moment, and Myers there, who I do like. That's a bit of a gamble as you talked about earlier with the rookie tight ends. I'm probably going to take someone as a backup wide receiver. So we've got Hopkins, Kirk, Mingo or Johnson there. And I'm going to slide for Kirk, I believe. Obviously, they got Ridley coming in, so Kirk's probably not going to see as much of the ball as he did last year. Hopkins is a bit of a worry there with all the stuff that went on with him, wanting to trade and everything. And obviously, what's his name? Kyler Murray's a bit banged up. I do like Mingo. And if my team was it is shaping up quite young actually. Actually, I'm going to go Mingo. Sorry, I'm going to go Mingo. Looking at my team, Richardson rookie, Gibbs rookie, Quinton Johnson rookie, Charbonnet rookie. It's sort of shaping up for next year, maybe future years, and I do like Mingo with Bryce Young. They might form a bit of a relationship, maybe. I'm going to take a gamble on Mingo.
Like it, and yeah, you're totally right. Your team is the opposite of kind of how Matt's is building right now. You're not necessarily going to be filled with joy going into this year, but for next year and on beyond, I think you could be quite excited about that, especially if Anthony Richardson does show up to be the lad. Cam Akers goes next. DeAndre Hopkins follows by Russell Wilson and Christian Kirk, and that puts Mark back on the clock.
Yeah, so Maya's still there. I haven't got a tight end. I was talking through with all the rookies. I think I'm going to go Maya. I'm going to fill that slot. Like you said before, Chris, he was the number one going into the draft, and obviously Kincaid went. I think he's the next. Do they call him the next Witten? Because Cowboys were after him for a long time, and obviously played Bills, like a fiddle, didn't they, on draft night? I think he's going to be good. Obviously, Waller's gone from Vegas now. Opens the slot for Maya. You've got Garoppolo there. It's a bit of a worry. He should be back for the start of the season. I do like Garoppolo. So I'm going to take Maya and fill my tight end slot.
Nice. Like it. Aaron Jones goes, followed by Spears, Kamara, Mims and Keenan Allen. And that puts Matt back on the clock.
There's a couple of players that went there that I'd have quite happily taken Keenan. I like Spears for Tennessee as well. I've seen a few of his tapes. So got a few. There's a few QBs on there, and that's just me being spiteful and possibly going to pick up some QBs. So you're doomed with whoever else is left. James Cook. I'm not a fan of any running backs that are ever in Buffalo. I think Josh Allen takes most of the lead runs there. Algier, would he get anything in Atlanta? Possibly. Bigsby, they've obviously been talking him up. Brian Robinson, Dylan, Montgomery. Not massively a fan. Deontay Johnson at Steelers, I hate. I think he's just less said about him. Mike Evans is still on the board. He hasn't got a QB, which is a worry, but I mean he's a guaranteed sort of 1,000-yard.
Baker, don't forget about Baker.
1,000-yard man. There's a few things. I think I'm going to go and pick up a wide receiver. So there's Johnson, Rice from Kansas City, Jalen Reed, Mike Williams, Evans, Bateman. I think I'm just going to go and sling Evans and fill that experienced head in the team.
Nice. Really setting up for a year one push to go back to back with the rings. That could be the thought process here. I'm seeing it coming. James Cook comes next. That puts me on the clock. Again, still only one running back. I definitely have a trend in these drafts, but I'm super glad I was nodding away like no man's business when you didn't take him, and I'm taking him now. Tyler Algier is coming to me, and that is not because I'm a Falcons fan. I think Tyler Algier could be one of those diamonds that you found. He's a bulldozer of a back, and Bijan is going to take everything. But I think he could come in and do a bit of what Williams did for Swift last year in Detroit. And worst case scenario from a dynasty perspective, he gets fed up. He asks for a trade in 2-3 years' time, goes off to another team, won't get big money, but goes in there and is a starter. And I like Tyler Algier a lot. And I like everything about him. I like the way he holds himself as well. So that's why I've taken Tyler. Rishi Rice goes next, followed by Jalen Reed. That puts me back on the clock. That then puts me in a bit of a conundrum because there is four. Yeah, there is four. There's 4 running backs that I really like in this range. Big fan of where is he? Of AJ Dillon. I think that Aaron Jones is getting older and older. I think he's people because he's been in the league for a while. Where is he? He's been in the league for 3 years. He's 25 years old. He's still very much an RB1 if Aaron Jones isn't around. So I do like Dillon. I do like Johnson from the Bears. I do like Robinson for the Redskins, and Bigsby for the Jags. But I'm going to finish with, I'm going to go further and further down, and I'm going to take Chase Brown from Cincinnati.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I like him. Obviously, all the stuff with Mixon is a worry. Chase Brown could be QB1, QB could be running back 1 if all the stuff with Mixon happens. So
really,
I like Chase Brown. I was watching, I think, NFL Network a few months ago, and Chase Brown came up. I think he's got a twin brother who might be a corner or something. I don't know if he made it to the NFL or not, but there's a bit of a story between the 2 Brown brothers, about jumping around schools and making it big. So I quite like that story.
Nice. Back to me then. Chase Brown and then Johnson from the Bears has gone. I'm not sure what's happening with the Bears. Again, Fields is going to take a bit, but toss up between him and Herbert and Foreman, I suppose, what's going to go on. I'm going to sling with the experienced heads and go and get James Conner, because I think he actually had a really good season. Kind of flew under the radar, he got injured, but I think that's a no-brainer for me.
I was surprised to see him really low on ADP. Is that just age, do you reckon? Because he's below people like Montgomery.
I'm not sure if he's only got a 1-year deal left, has he?
Oh right, is that what
I'm not sure. But again, all of a sudden people are low on the Cardinals because of where they think they're going to be this season.
Yeah, no, I like Connor. So who's gone next? Mike Williams to Team 5. Team 6 has gone Schultz. We've got their tight end. Deontay Johnson 7. 8 to Brian Robson, and AJ Dillon goes at 9. This is sort of the position where I'm sort of, I don't know, you're sort of filling slots now, aren't you? You're sort of looking down and taking a bit of a gamble on people. Darren Waller's there. That's a good slot for Dan to pick up Darren Waller. So if you're listening, Dan, around 10, 11, you can get.
He's
Darren
not
Waller.
available. I tell everyone every year, do not pick him. He's not available. He's already a dirty bird. He's signed, sealed, delivered. He won't play for you. He'll just down tools. He'll down tools.
He does do that.
He wants another ring.
To be fair, he loves the rings. He loves getting the rings. This could be a position to get a QB, but I think there's a few more down there that I could probably get. Bigsby's in there. If I'm looking at rookies and building a bit of a rookie team, obviously got ETN a bit ahead of him. Actually, there's a guy that I really do like. It's a toss-up for me between Sam Laporta for the Lions. I think he should be pretty decent at the Lions. Goff loves a tight end, doesn't he? And Hawkinson left last year, so that sort of puts him in straight away. And then Hyatt for the Giants. It'd be a toss-up between the two of them for me. I'm probably going to go with Laporta and fill my tight end slots and put him on the bench. I do like Hyatt though. I think he's rapid, isn't he? A really good deep threat.
Yeah, there's not much going on down the Giants over, really, is there?
No. And some bastards just taking him before me on the turn. So
Derek Carr goes next, followed by Tank Bigsby, Lucas Musgrave and Jalen Hyatt, and then he's marched back up.
Yeah, I would have taken Jalen Hyatt if he was there. That would have been decent, wouldn't it? Who else have we got looking down there? Oh, there's a few decent players in there. Juju Smith-Schuster obviously moved to New England. Could probably fill a slot on my bench. Tyler Lockett's in there. Tony, no, not for me. Gabe Davis, no, I don't like that. Bateman, no, I don't like the situation. It's a few gambles in here. It's getting slim pickings for me right now. I'm gonna go with.
This is the sort of stage where you would look to trade if you could.
Yeah, I mean, if people want one of these players, it's a lot of gambles, and there's yeah, you're not getting a lot in here. Actually, there's a player I really like down here. Actually, I've just scrolled down a few pages, and there's a player I like called Jacoby Myers. He's been traded to Vegas. Last year he was at New England, and he had a pretty good season. obviously
chip
under
on his
Matt
shoulder
Jones.
as well because they paid the exact money for Juju that he should have got.
Yeah, he got a pretty big contract, I think, at
33 million.
Vegas. And he's way down there, which is a surprise for me. I think he's half decent. Garoppolo's an upgrade, I think, on Mac Jones. So I'm going to select Jacoby Myers in my round 11.
So then Rashad Bateman goes. Darren Waugh, for fuck's sake.
Oh no.
Montgomery. No, I was devastated to read.
He wasn't getting to you. He was coming. He wasn't getting to you.
You ain't got the minerals to take down. Marla. Dave Montgomery, Khalil Herbert, Cole Kmet, and then Matt is back up.
So, like Mark said, proper slim pickings we are here now. Actually, a guy I do like, possibly the situation at the Browns, depending what happens with Amari. You got Elijah Moore, but for me, I didn't really like him at the Jets, but he's all right. But I think I'm going to take the gamble on Tillman. Seen a few things of him, and I one for the future.
Like it.
I thought you were going to go Njoku then, talking about the Browns. You haven't got a tight end. I thought, he might just put Njoku.
We don't need tight ends. Don't need tight ends.
Yeah.
There is that, isn't there? I mean, this is a standard scoring league, so we've only got one of them as well. How valuable is a tight end in the league? David Njoku goes next. Then I'm up. I was eyeing up Njoku. I was doing the opposite. I fancied having Pitts and Njoku, kind of picking who I liked. Going down here, we got left. Okay. I am going to take... There is a player in this range that I would take at this stage, but I'm not doing it for this.
Secrets.
So I'm not taking him. It's the one thing I'm going to keep to myself. I would take him at this range. If you were on the app now for U3, he is in between the range of 130 to 144, but I'm not telling you who it is, and I'm not taking him now.
I know it is. Is he at number 140?
And is he at number what?
140.
I'm going to take...
That's a yes. Thank you.
I'm going to take... I'm going to take a gamble, and I am going, because I'm not so confident on my running back core, but I'm loving my receiver core. I'm taking the gamble on Alexander Mattison. If Cook doesn't come out well, or things don't go well, or he does go, he slots in there. We've already seen that he does absolutely brilliantly without him. I think that could be an RB1 pickup in the... What are we in now? In the 11th round. So I really like that value of picking him up there. Aaron Rodgers goes next. Antonio Gibson goes next. Puts me back on the clock. So now I'm looking down at my team, and I've already decided. Look, I'm not planning to compete this year. I'm all about building for future years, and I like what I've got so far. So to summarise, I've got Josh Allen, Bryce Young, Jack Smith-Njigba, Kyle Pitts, George Pickens, Treylon Burks, Zen Pacheco, Jahan Dotson, Tyler Algier, Chase Brown, Alexander Mattison. And then I start thinking, okay, so I'm not planning for this year. I'm going for next year. What's the most valuable kind of positions? Quarterbacks most valuable. Superflex league as well. So I've got two options really at the top, kind of the top of the list here for three you could argue for young kind of players. You got Hendon Hooker, Jordan Love, and Purdy. Hooker, arguably a first round quarterback if he doesn't get injured. Drops really low. Wouldn't get him at this value if he doesn't get injured. I know he's not going to play this year. Could be phenomenal for next year. Jordan Love, I'm a bit of a Jordan Love truther. I feel like if a quarterback sat behind an experienced quality quarterback for a number of years, they're always better. So I really quite like the idea of Jordan Love coming in there, and I feel like he could do something. And if you look at his stats for when he did come in, when Rodgers got injured, I think in the Eagles game, wasn't it? He got injured in the Eagles game and then played a couple of bits thereafter. Good stats, played well. So I quite like that. And then Purdy, is he the guy? Is he not the guy? And you're just flipping a coin for me. I don't think he's the guy. So for me, I'm going with the complete shoot to the moon upside. No, I'm going to get nothing from this year, but could be a guy for next year, which even if I don't like him and don't want to keep him, I could easily trade for a first round pick if he comes out to be, anything at all. I'm going to take Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. I was looking at Hooker, hoping he was going to come back, but sadly not.
So then Gabe Davis goes next, and Matt is back on the clock in 12.4.
We're back. So I'm going to take a bit of a stab in the dark and a possible gamble team setup to probably win this year. I'm going to chuck a couple of rookies in it, and I'm not sure on the Breece Hall situation in the Jets. I don't know what he's going to come back like. Is it going to take him a bit of a while to come back full fitness? Bit of a gamble, so I'm going to take the Habeninjanja, the lad from the Jets, as the rookie, and see if he can throw anything down.
He wouldn't be there. Really.
Very talented back. Very talented back.
So I think it should probably be our last pick. We're getting on an hour now, aren't we? And we're sort of getting slim pickings. So just running through Team 5, Tyler Lockett, Evan Ingram's gone, Dolchich, Ezekiel Elliott. Who's going to be the first one to take a gamble on him? He's not gone in our other league, has he, Chris? I think he's still there, way down, probably like around 16.
I think we are in here. I think we're around. I think actually, because I've just been having pop-ups on this. I think we're now into round 17. He's still not gone.
He's still there. I can see him. Yeah, going. I was tempted to take a gamble on him late, but yeah, it's going to be.
There's just so many of them. I was looking through it. Like there's so many of them. Like it's unbelievable. I couldn't believe which one's going to go. Even if somebody does go down and a vet goes in, is Hunt going there? Is Zeke going there? Is Fournette going there? Not for me.
Yeah, I thought the Browns might get Hunt and just get him back up, but sorry, I'm just seeing a pop up here about the line saying.
Yeah, I was just reading that as
well. I think it might be for kicker. So.
Yeah, it is Riley Patterson, the kicker.
Yeah,
because the Jags have just picked up what's his name, haven't they?
McManus, was it?
Yeah, McManus.
The one who left Denver.
I
was hoping the Cowboys were going to get him. That's quite annoying. So for the last pick, if I was in this position, I think I've got to go for a QB now. There's a bit of a drop off on QBs, and this is probably the time where people are going to look for that third QB. And if a few of them go, I'm probably looking at Sam Howell and Stenson Bennett, which I don't like. So as a backup,
come on, Stenson.
Jordan Love. You just spoke about Mac Jones. He's a bit boring, isn't he? He's not.
I'll see if he's got a job in a year's time.
Yeah, he's still there now, but yeah, is he going to be the next year? Stafford, he's broken. He's all old pieces, isn't he? Ridder, yeah, for next year, he could be there. He could be decent. Garoppolo, he's on the way out. I'm going to take a gamble on Jordan Love as a backup and stick him on the bench and see what happens this year.
Would you think about? You've already said that I like the Jordan Love pick, but would you debate Sam Howell at that pick?
Not so much from him, but I would be taking Sam Howell above Stafford, Garoppolo, and Jones. Yeah.
What's that? Because more upside than some older pros.
Yeah.
Had a year behind. All right, an absolute loser, but he's had a year behind him. Watched a bit, been in the system, learning a bit more. I like Sam Howell as a around this sort of range. I have to say.
Yeah, for upside, I think it's you're better off taking him than Tannehill, Mayfield, or those sort of people down there. You haven't got a lot, have you?
No. United have scored a fourth. Sorry to take subject, but 4-0.
So that concludes our mock. We've done 12 rounds here, giving you a bit of insight onto what our thinking is. So hopefully, come draft night, you don't take these players ahead of us. That would be devastating, and I know most people don't watch this, but a few people do, so you'll have a bit of insight of what's happened here.
Just to finish off,
go on.
Just to finish off, if you have a look at the teams, so we've 12 teams here. I'll ask you, Matt, of all the teams that are available, of these 12 teams, is there a particular team that you like the look of, that you'd go, that auto pick for the computer has, or that this one Mark's done, or whatever else? Which team do you like the looks of the best? Because there's one particular team for me that I really like in this draft, and it comes out of a position that I wasn't expecting. So I'm just interested.
I don't I don't dislike Team 3. For me, if I could have got Jefferson and been in a place, I'd be happy with him and take no other player. I think he is the best player in the league, and I'd quite happily have him in the team and nothing else around him. So I like Team 3.
So for Team 3 for the thing is Justin Jefferson, Deshaun Watson, Stephon Diggs, Travis Etienne, DeAndre Swift, George Kittle, Dalvin Cook, Jared Goff, James Cook, Rashawn Johnson, David Njoku, and Gabe Davis.
Again, I think it's who you like as a person and who you like as players. I like Team 9: Fields, McCaffrey, Murray, Devonta Smith, Javonte Williams, Jameson Williams, Aaron Jones. Yeah, there's a bit of upside in there, a bit of nice players in there. So yeah, it's always interesting what the computer throws out.
How about you, Mark?
I just had a little flick through then, and I think Team 1's the one that stands out to me. Pat Mahomes got 2 young running backs in, what's it, actually, I can't pronounce that.
I can't say his name.
Kendrick Miller, so 2 young running backs there. And then you've got Tyreek Hill, Olave, Andrews, Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry Jeudy.
Looks pretty solid. The other one that stood out was Team 11 as well. Trey Lance, Taylor, Akers, Lamb, Addison, Kelsey, London, Godwin. Yeah, pretty solid.
It really worries me that the teams. I think we're basically after the same sorts of players, and that really worries me. We spoke about it just before we came.
We're not close in the draft.
No, but it just means like there's just times where like you'll take someone. It's happened in our league, in the other league, and it's just like fuck. I really wanted that person. Now you've got to rethink. But yeah, it's just interesting. I also had the same thing. Team 1, Team 11. Big fan of those. What those setups are. In terms of our 3 teams, Matt definitely set up for year 1, and he's going for it year 1 with that build. So Matt finished with Jalen Hurts, Garrett Wilson, Cooper Kupp, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Kenny Pickett, Miles Sanders, Geno Smith, Mike Evans, James Conner, Kendrick Tillman, and Israel, can never say his surname. Mark finished with Najee, no he didn't. Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Najee Harris, Quinton Johnson, Terry McLaurin, Zach Charbonnet, Jonathan Mingo, Michael Mayer, Sam Laporta, Jacob Myers, Jordan Love. And the winning team in the league finished with Josh Allen, Bryce Young, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kyle Pitts, George Pickens, Treylon Burks, Isaiah Pacheco, Jahan Dotson, Tyler Algier, Chase Brown, Alexander Mattison, and Hendon Hooker.
Just interesting the way you set up your team, you know. I think we were talking about it before the pod. Do you go with that win now mentality, or do you sort of flip and go, no, let's go for 2 years? I think I flipped halfway through. I know, Matt, you didn't know what you were going to do coming into this draft, and I think after your first few picks, you went, no, I'm going to go for it this year. And
And I think my advice would be pick the best players available on the board, but how quickly that changes. For me, being at 11 in the draft next week, probably as soon as round 3 comes round and see where I stand, that's when you throw either go rookies for year 2 or see what you can pick up this year, really.
Yeah, I think the trades are going to be interesting, because there was a point there where I would have thrown out a trade for whoever it was, wasn't it? It was the Eagles tight end. Goddard, that's it. Yeah, and you know, maybe someone would have snapped my hand off for Goddard at that position and given me some picks later on, which I probably would have taken. So it's going to be interesting. Okay, all right. Thanks for watching and listening, everyone out there. We'll see you at the draft, which is the 2nd of June, which is next Friday, 7 o'clock. I think we're at the Bumblebee, potentially, without Wi-Fi, so bring your phones. Thanks, everyone. Any final thoughts from anyone?
Best of luck all, and look forward to seeing you.
Get your strategies ready. Don't do it on the night.
Cannot wait to see AP. Cannot wait.
And Dan Pickwaller. Right, cheers everyone. Thanks for that, and we'll see you again next time.
Pleasure.